All right, Miami fans, another weekend, another poor job by our Miami football teams. Dolphins lose today 27-17. Hurricanes lose 30-28. Poor job by the Dolphins today. Defense looked good in the first part of the game, the first half. They did a really good job. Dolphins offense, not a whole lot. Let's look at some of the stats. Jacoby Brissett, 20 for 30 for 199 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's pretty, misleading. That's like my Ryan Tannehill type stats, where you get all your stats at the end of the game when you're down big and the team's kind of letting you do what you want to do. He's basically out there throwing the ball up for grabs. Got to give Devontae Parker his props. He's out there coming down with the ball. However, he did drop 2 right in his hands. You're professional. You got to make those. You got to make those plays, especially in the end zone. That's the second time he's dropped the ball in the end zone and hit him right in the hands. It's not like he had to go up extremely high. I mean, he just jumped a little bit and the ball hit him right in his hands. But he did have 4. Parker had 4 catches for 77 yards. Mike Gesicki, 5 catches, 57 yards. Jalen Waddle, 3 catches, 33 yards. I think that was all in the first quarter. He just basically disappeared. He doesn't, you would think he could take the top off the defense. However, nobody really believes that in the beginning of the game they're actually going to be throwing the ball deep and, spreading things out. So they're just going to do the dink and dunk plays. It's the Miami style offense for whatever reason. That's what we like to run, and it doesn't look very good. We can blame the offensive line for that, I guess, for not holding their blocks. But the field basically condenses when the team knows you're going to be running 5-yard pass plays. If you're running 5-yard pass plays, your safeties come in, your corners tighten up, linebackers are up by the line of scrimmage, and but not on the line of scrimmage like the Dolphins. The Dolphins want to constantly put their linebackers on the line of scrimmage to just get manhandled by offensive linemen, and they're basically ineffective. Instead of letting them sit back off the line of scrimmage, wait till they see a hole, plug it, get in there. No, they just get on the line, get grabbed by an offensive lineman, or even worse, Jerome Baker on one of the long runs by Jonathan Taylor today. Jonathan Taylor kicked it to the outside, and Jerome Baker was handled by a wide receiver. And the guy ran right by him. He didn't sling the receiver off of him. He just stood there. The guy ran right past him and ran for 30 plus yards, something like that. You can't, as a linebacker, and you're getting paid that much money, you need to be able to get past that block. You need to get off that block. The announcers did say today that, that Jerome Baker hasn't got in and made a lot of plays in the backfield this year. They're not blitzing him so much. He's more in pass coverage, which is true, but he's not doing a great job in pass coverage. So basically we have Van Ginkel, forgot his name. But anyways, the guy with long hair, he, he's doing an admirable job playing pass defense. However, his run defense is, he had one play where he had the guy to hit him right in the side for a short gain, probably a 2-yard gain, bounces right off of him, and the guy keeps going. The only real hitter we have out there is Landon Roberts. As I'll continue to give his praises. He's the only player that I see that isn't on the line that's an actual thumper. He goes out and he brings the wood. But the problem is that if he's the lone man in the linebacking area behind the line, and they just run a play and the center breaks off and gets a hold of him, there's nobody else there. That's why one of our, when you look at some of our stats, we had on tackles today, there was, our leading tackles, our leading tacklers were Jason McCourty with 8 tackles. The second leading tackler was Eric Rowe with 7 tackles, and then Christian Wilkins had 7. Christian Wilkins had a heck of a game today, but you can't. You got to have your linebackers being your leading tacklers. You have to have that. I remember years where it was consistently. You had your Zach Thomas and your John Offerdahl was leading the league in tackles. Leading the team in tackles. Then turn around, we get into safeties for our team, leading our team in tackles. Your defensive linemen should not be leading the team in tackles. They should be collapsing the pocket, getting pressure, getting in on the quarterback. That's what they should be doing. And Christian Wilkins is doing that. He's stepping up this year big time. I don't know if this is a contract year for him or not, but he's doing a great job. And the defensive line overall is doing pretty good. However, just once they get past the defensive line, there's usually nobody there. If you go over and you're putting your linebackers, which you would think they have some speed and they can get in and fill some gaps, they're not doing it. They're just not doing it. So, kind of my takeaways for the game. Jacoby Brissett, I think he's a backup quarterback at best. If you think like, hey, if we had Fitzpatrick, one of my buddies asked me today, if we had Fitzpatrick, would he be better? Who knows? It all depends. If you need more of a mobile quarterback, then yes, I think Jacoby Brissett's better. But if you don't, more of a gunslinger, throw it down, would be a Fitzpatrick, would be the guy we let go to. He was backing up Kansas City, Matt Moore. That's one of my favorite quarterbacks. I like gunslingers. I don't like conservative quarterbacks. I don't necessarily like turnovers, but if you're getting turnovers by throwing the ball deep and taking chances and trying to put it in tight spots, so be it. That's part of the game. When you open things up for opportunities. Plus, it's not boring to watch. I'm from the era of Dan Marino football. Watching Dan Marino play, there was no spot on the field he wouldn't go with the ball. He would drop back and he would spread it, your tight ends, running screens, running this and that. How many screens did you see the Dolphins run today? They're getting constant pressure. When you're getting constant pressure, run a screen pass. But the problem is that they don't know how to run a screen pass. It's like a constant thing with the Dolphins. You look back, it's like the screen passes is one of the best things to stop the rush, and they just don't do it. It's pretty frustrating. Rushing today, the Dolphins rushing, we had 20 rush. Let me see how many rushes we had. I think it was like 33 rushing yards, and the leading rusher had like 20 something yards. Malcolm Brown, horrible. But the thing is if everyone's in the box and everybody's uptight, that's what's going to happen. You look at Carson Wentz. He wasn't doing a great job, but he was doing better than Jacoby Brissett. He was getting the ball out there. The Dolphins still somehow they got one turnover on a fumble, but to keep the streak alive on the turnovers. But I think they played good. They were just on the field too much. There was a part in the first half where they said the Dolphins had 4 punts and a field goal were their possessions in the first half. The Dolphins also were, I think it was like 37 to like 23 minutes in time of possession. Jonathan Taylor had over 100 yards rushing against them, which a lot of the runs were, they broke for some distance, and at the end I think some of his average was affected because they were just kind of setting things up and running out the clock and whatnot. The score could have been worse. They're kneeling the ball down on the 4-yard line, but the Dolphins were beat. Listen to Brian Flores at the end of the game. He mentioned the dumb penalties, the jumping off sides, and giving them a first down when you had them stop for a punt. I mean, you can't do that. Uh, that was our. I think that was Phillips, and also Phillips. He didn't actually grab the guy's face mask, but it was up close enough. I don't know how he didn't just hit the guy. He completely bull rushed, was in there. I don't know how he didn't tackle him, and he ended up grabbing. I mean, how do you run right past a guy without tackling him? I don't get it, but that's pretty much what happened there. Um, Jalen Phillips, when I watch him, he's basically, uh, he likes the bull rush. He comes in, he comes off the end, and he just goes right into the chest, which is good for collapsing the pocket. But looking at the guy's hands and how he can move and duck under and things of that nature, the Jason Taylor type, which I wasn't necessarily a fan of that constant maneuver. I do like being able to collapse instead of trying to come around the end all the time, but that has to be in the repertoire. Watching him, he doesn't use his hands. He just tries to use his strength, and that's where he was really good in college because you can get away with that in college. But you can't necessarily get away with that in the NFL all the time, especially when you go against some really big guys that are left tackles. He did have a hit in the field, in the backfield for a loss on a running back, I believe. And I actually seen some presence from him, so that is good. What's not good is that we have a Noah Ibignogany that doesn't even play. So, yeah, just an overall frustrating to watch the Dolphins. It was very lethargic watching them play. I mean, if you didn't see the game, I guess just go back and watch like the fourth quarter. It's about the only thing really worth watching, unless you like to watch a good defensive battle in the first half, which that's what it was. Um, Looking at some of our firepower, Will Fuller. So they said he had like a chest injury, and then he had an arm injury. So today, Brissett, constant throws into the ground. He goes down for one. Now he's got a hand injury. So, injury-riddled team. And, who do you blame for that? Do you blame Chris Grier? I was listening to another show where they basically said the common denominator has been Chris Grier. Like, over the years, I mean, assistant, scout, this and that. Now I think this is like his third or fourth year as the GM. And even though he got the picks and he made some really good moves there, however, the decision making, look at our quarterback sitting on the sidelines. Our offensive tackles. I mean, it's just when you can consistently have busts, or when you have free agents that come in and basically get cut after a year and sometimes let go within a year. You bring in Flores out of, they used to play for UM and I think the Giants, and he comes in, he plays a season, and then you trade him away. Well, I guess it was partially a salary dump, but you trade him away for a swap of 7th round draft picks. It doesn't say a whole lot about what you're trying to do as your talent evaluation. Yeah, you can move on. You're moving on from players. That's great. I'm glad you're moving on from them. But how many mistakes are you going to make? I mean, imagine if those were just our first round picks every year, and you come away with maybe 2 good players, maybe 2. Right now it's just 1, because you can't say 2 is a great player. He's good at best right now. So, I mean, that's not a good number. That's what gets you fired. But a lot of people have confidence in him. That's why I think they're going to end up making a push for Watson. I think they're going to do it. I mean, looking in the crowd today, when they showed I don't know if they're still in social distancing, but it was sparse. There were empty seats all over the place in the lower level, all over. And this wasn't right after a halftime, like a normal Miami thing where everybody likes to go chill inside and have some drinks and then make their Miami time where they come out 5-10 minutes after halftime's over. No, none of that. They showed the crowd. It was like the mid part of a quarter and just nobody's in the stands. That's this town, unfortunately. I mean, lived here all my life. This town gets behind winners. And when you're not winning, they're not going to be there. I mean, that's a lot of corporate tickets down low that get given out by, businesses. They buy them. And then next thing you know, people don't want to go to those games. And trying to sell Jacoby Brissett to the Dolphins fan base, that's not going to work. Even their picks, like their second round picks, Eichenberg. That one play that I was talking about where the guy came up the middle, on my Twitter, Miami Hometown Sports, where Eichenberg came up the middle. The linebacker came up the middle. Eichenberg let the guy come around the end. The same thing that got Tua killed by Jesse Davis was the same thing that Eichenberg did. He let the guy come around the corner, and that's where they basically tag team, and they hit Brissett, and he was falling down. His knee hit that's the play I'm talking about, where his knee hit the ground when he was releasing it. I mean, he's just getting pushed. He's getting pushed around. I get he's a rookie, but that's a big guy. You shouldn't be getting pushed around and getting blown by like that. I get if you're hand fighting and it's not quite there and you gotta get a better technique, but he just like one play where said he got pancaked, even though someone said he got tripped up, but still, I mean, watching people get pancaked as a number 2 pick, a top-notch guy where everyone's praising him out of Notre Dame, it's not really good. That's all I gotta say about that. Their next game's against Tampa. Tampa's pretty good. If we're still having Jacoby Brissett back there, I don't see us winning that game. I think the team really needs Preston Williams. He's a great player, and I guess they're just really taking it slow with him, and they don't want to rush him back too fast. So I think he'll be a big help because it won't just be Parker that they can throw the ball up to, even though Gesicki can go get it himself. But, I definitely think he gets open. He runs really good routes. I think the Dolphins still can come back and get some wins. I don't know at this time. I would pull the trigger on the Watson. I mean, at this point, your picks are all falling flat. Everything, your free agents are falling flat. You're 1-3. The crowd has lost interest. You got to make a change. As far as goes, they got to make a change there too. Even though I do see some good young talent coming up, just people are getting tired of the Manny Diaz shtick, like his defense. They don't tackle. They jump around. They act like, they're a great team. They're not. Virginia wasn't a great team. I said they're going to be 3-6 to start the season. It's not even start the season. Through 9 games, they're going to be 3-6. And the only teams they're going to beat are going to be teams that are powder puffs. They might get one win against a decent team. One win. But having that many losses against good teams, the one great team that we thought they would lose to was Alabama. I thought they would lose to Alabama. I didn't think they would get destroyed actually I did before. I thought they'd get destroyed like that, but maybe I was listening a little too much to Bolden and King talk about they were going to shock somebody. I don't know, maybe they were seeing something in practice that I didn't see, but the same team that got blown out by North Carolina and was getting mollywopped by, subpar raging Cajuns and things of that nature. Don't come and think you're going to play with the big boys and you can't even handle like the lower tier of Division 1. That's horrible. Why do you even have a central? I think a Central Connecticut. Why are they even on your schedule? Playing a team like that, you might as well be playing a Miami high school team. Go play. Go play Central. Go play Northwestern. If you're going to do that, it's the same type of team. You know, play. It's ridiculous. Manny Diaz. You know, who's out there? Who can they get? Someone mentioned like a Lane Kiffin. I don't. I think Lane Kiffin's good, but I think you need somebody with some pop, some Mike Leach type deal. I'm not saying Butch Davis. I would have probably taken Butch Davis a little while ago, but not not now. I think he's kind of would lose it in recruiting. Even though if he brought back a lot of his coaches to like they all keep showing Ed Reed on the sideline, like Ed Reed was gonna make him do something. I don't know. I mean, the guy number 99 was catching the balls left and right, and they were still letting him release into the middle of the field, wide open. Guys throwing the ball. How do you let a guy that's catching balls on you constantly run free right up the middle, right up the seam? I don't get it. And you can start to see it in Diaz's face. Like, what can I do? I'm almost wondering like if the coaches are just basically giving up on the guy and kind of you know lost confidence or something. But it doesn't. It's not really any. There's nothing there to be proud of. I'll say this: their receiving core does look pretty good. Their running backs are still. You got a guy that's got some size. The Knighton, he's got speed, but and they actually went for over 100 yards. One of their running backs went over for 100 yards in the last game. Um, but Miami puts out running backs constantly. We put out cornerbacks, we put out running backs, we put out receivers, and every once in a while we get a decent quarterback. They usually just don't stay here. But we'll see. I mean, they had 2 defensive ends taken in the first round, so and they did produce. They did produce here, so it wasn't like they didn't produce. They did produce. Um, I think they can do better. They just need to get much better on the line. Their defensive line needs to do better. You can't have a Silvera missing guys, tackling people, bouncing. How do you bounce off a guy when you're 320, 330 pounds, and you can't make a tackle on a running back? And then you get in on a gang tackle and you stand up and you start flexing like King Kong. Come on, man, hit somebody. Be. I don't expect you to be the Vince Wilfork, or the other player we had. It was a transfer that came in and was a great DT, but we're known for good D tackles in Miami. Not Alabama level, but still. I mean, Vince Wilfork was a beast, and we got those size guys. We got to keep them home, but nobody really believes in Manny Diaz philosophy and the offensive system. I mean, Van Dyke is a good player. However, he was just sailing that ball left and right. He was just dropping back and just throwing the ball as hard as he possibly could, throwing it in the air. Like he couldn't get it under control to start hitting a guy, in the chest until later on in the game. But it was his first real outing, so it wasn't horrible. And there was some promise there. He's no king, but we need to see what we're going to have next year when there's no king. And it starts with the line, but I think we do have receivers. It's starting to see that we do have some playmakers, and we got something to work for, something to work with next year. Well, that's it. Sorry about last week. I wanted to do a video, but Xfinity Stream isn't exactly Xfinity Stream. They keep telling me, oops, something was wrong. So sorry I couldn't get something out. I couldn't watch the game. I didn't want to do a game based off of highlights because I don't like to just repeat what someone else says. I like to give you my own viewpoint from what I saw. Please comment if you'd like to, or hit the like button, subscribe. I'll see y'all next week. Bye.